Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Just wanted to say, appreciate everybody stopping by for the first live stream. It will be, of course, recorded and it will be on the channel for future reference if you want to view it again, or if somebody that didn't make it or couldn't make it. So it will be in the in one of the playlists. So I just wanted to update everybody, do a channel update, and also what we have planned for the near future. So I want to thank you if you're a subscriber. I want to thank you if you're a member. If you're a member that supports the channel, and it's much appreciated. So thank you to our members. Now this live stream is members only can chat and ask questions. Now we're going to have more live streams. I plan on doing these on a regular basis. Some will be open and some will be member only. That's one of the benefits of being a member, of course, having that chat feature. So just wanted to mention that. If you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing for updates to New Jersey carry permit stuff. So just wanted to get that out of the way. Wanted to mention that we've also partnered with several companies. Now, these companies are security professionals or retired law enforcement, retired military, to provide training, security assessments, equipment, all kinds of things that I think a lot of the subscribers and viewers would be interested in. So the reason I bring that up is that I'm the only one answering the questions and the comments on this channel. So if there's a delay, if I don't get to it for a day or two, or if I don't respond, don't take it personally. Please just ask it again, or if you can send me an email. A lot of times I might miss a comment where there's a question in a comment. I might miss one might slip by, but then someone will email me and say, hey, by the way, and then it'll hit me later that, oh, this person made a comment, asked me in the comments and I missed it. So I'll usually do get the emails. So don't take it personally, please, if I don't respond right away. So I wanted to just do a quick update and also go over in this live stream some of the common questions that people ask me, because I get some of the same questions over and over again. And I thought if I do a live stream, maybe that'll, get out there, and a lot of people are probably wanting to know the answers to these as well. If you have any thoughts for future topics or questions, you can certainly put it in the comments or send me an email. So for those of you that don't know, I'm a retired New Jersey state trooper. I retired after 25 years. Towards the end of my career, I was in firearms investigation unit. So I was the unit head of that unit. So that unit handles everything related to firearms in the state of New Jersey, from dealers to carry permits to, you name it. So I'm well familiar with New Jersey law and how ridiculous some of the requirements are, and the process, of course, to go through to even just to buy a gun. So I started making the videos, of course, to help people out as far as, how do I transport a gun in New Jersey and that sort of thing. So I'm well familiar with how the Attorney General and the Governor view firearms and the whole permitting process. So just a recap for some people that might be watching that, don't know. Ever since NYSERPA versus Bruin, the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, Kevin Bruin being the former superintendent of New York State Police at the time, in June of 2022. I know a lot of you watching probably know this already, but that was a landmark U.S. Supreme Court decision for Second Amendment people that want to exercise their Second Amendment right, because I know people that maybe don't really care, but there's a huge Second Amendment community, as we all know, and this case was landmark. It removed what New York used to call the proper cause. New Jersey had a similar requirement called the justifiable need. That meant that even though you might have had a spotless background, you couldn't get a carry permit unless you had a justifiable need, which was a documented case that you needed the gun. So you had threats against your life, and it had to be specific. And it was very difficult. Not many people got carry permits in New Jersey prior to Bruin decision, except for people that got them for work. So an armed security officer, and then the judges would issue them, of course, and they would only be allowed to use them for work. And they were very restrictive, and it was some you couldn't even wear on your way to work. You had to carry it unloaded to work, and then when you got to your job site, then you would load it and put it on and carry it. So very restrictive. But once this landmark decision came out from the United States Supreme Court for this New York case, New Jersey Attorney General immediately pulled the justifiable need requirement, and other states did a similar thing. Other states that had that in place as well. So landmark decision. And I just wanted to also mention, if you haven't already seen, since the NYSERPA versus Bruin, state of New Jersey has issued over 41,000 carry permits. And I've done videos on this, so some of you probably have seen them already, but for those of you who haven't, please check out the videos. Over 41,000 carry permits issued. I say carry permit, technically it's a permit to carry a handgun in New Jersey. That's what it's called in New Jersey, but we say carry permit because most people know when you carry concealed for protection, usually you just say carry or carry permit. So it's interchangeable. So to my knowledge, there's only been about 3 dumb incidents with the carry permits. And if anybody has any knowledge on more, please let me know. But as far as the information that I have, 3 things, dumb things. Nobody's been hurt or killed or shot. But one guy took his shirt off on the boardwalk. He said he was hot, and they charged him with brandishing. Another guy got drunk, fired off some rounds into the wooded area where his car was, and I guess a police officer was close by. So he was caught. He was drinking. So he was charged with a lot of things. Also, there was a third. I can't remember the details on that. But again, no specifics as far as nobody hurt or killed. So 41,000, over 41,000, and no wild west like the anti-gun politicians have predicted. So and of course, after Bruin, and I'm just doing this quick background for the folks that don't know, after the Bruin decision, NYSERPA versus Bruin, that was June of 2022. Governor Murphy in New Jersey and the Attorney General Platkin, of course, came up with their legislators what I like to call the anti-carry law. New York did it, Maryland did it, a lot of states have been doing it across the U.S. since Bruin. And basically, it's a law that prevents you from carrying in the entire state. And if you're not familiar with it, I suggest that you do look it up, because right now it's pending litigation. We're all waiting for the final court decision. Some of the parts of the law have been put on hold as far as for enforcement. So, for example, private property was a huge part of the anti-carry law, that you couldn't carry on private property, and that was shot down for now. Also in your vehicle. So the law, when it first came out, said that you couldn't carry, if you had a permit to carry a handgun, you could not carry your firearm loaded on your person in your own car. That's how ridiculous this law is. So Judge Bum actually, through a preliminary injunction, she put that on hold. So that is not enforceable right now. So you can carry your firearm, if you have a carry permit, loaded on your person in your vehicle. But that's how ridiculous this law is. So just to get everybody up to speed on that, I've also been asked about questions about a good source of where can we carry and what's going on with the lawsuit. So as far as the magazine ban and the assault weapon ban, that the judge for that, just as an FYI, the judge for that case just retired. So it's going to be a little while longer with that, I'm told. Now a new judge has to be sworn in and get up to speed on the case. So I just wanted to update everybody on that. But as far as a source of good information, you can visit. I would recommend. I'm going to put a link in the chat here. The Association of New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Club. If you're not familiar with them, I would suggest you join. You can join as a member, and you can pay. You can support them. They do a pretty good job of keeping everybody up to date. They have on their webpage a list of places you can carry currently and the places you cannot carry, and they're pretty good at keeping their website up to date on the lawsuits, the pending litigation. There are multiple lawsuits, folks. So that's just one big question that I get a lot. So, three things I wanted to mention. Also, I'm just checking out the chat here. So let me see here, make sure everything's good. Okay. So for this live stream, I wanted to mention three things, and I've talked about these in my videos, but I just wanted to bring up three things. And I have a list of questions, common questions that I've been asked recently that I want to just cover. Gun safes. So I've talked about this in other videos. So have some type of portable safe like a Hornady or any brand. It doesn't really matter. Have that in your car, because there are so many places that you can't carry in New Jersey that you're going to be out and about, and you're going to have to secure your gun in your car. So you need a gun safe. And if you have a spouse or significant other and they have their own car, I would suggest you get two safes. You get one for each car. And if you only have one gun, that might be sufficient to have for your safe at home. But I have, more than one gun, so I have a couple of bigger safes at home. So I just use a portable safe for the car. So as far as the safe, I like to do the traditional key. I know some people like the biometric. I have some biometric safes for home, but I found that in the extreme conditions, the heat and the cold, that sometimes a biometric, there's an issue with it due to the extreme weather conditions. So your call, but I like to use the traditional key lock, and some safes do have I'll put a link for. Let me just put a link for the safes here. Let me see here. I'll put a link for the safes if you want to check out Hornady safes. And, they also do make a double safe with two different keys. So you could put your gun in one and you could put your magazine in the other. And I'm going to touch on that because some people have asked me, can you store the magazine in the same safe with the gun? So I'm going to touch on that in a minute, but I just wanted to send that over to you. First aid kits, I think everybody should be carrying. You good? Okay. I think you could leave that. Yeah. Yeah. I think everybody should be, and so I know some people don't necessarily agree with this, but I think, I'm sorry, I'm kind of trying to keep on track here. I have an outline here. I don't want to waste anybody's time and go all over the place. So I'm trying to keep it, uh, according to a format here. So first aid kits and bleeding control kits. And I think everybody, if you're carrying a gun, you should carry these kits anyway, in my opinion, former paramedic and trooper. So I'm always carrying a go bag and a first aid kit. I have multiple first aid kits. So it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It can be a first aid kit is really different from a bleeding control kit. So a bleeding control kit has a tourniquet and a clotting bandages, right? So here's one example. I'll hold it up. MYMEDIC, right? I like these. They're great kits, and I'll put a link to them as well. They use the RATS tourniquet, which is there's basically two types of tourniquets. The RATS is a rapid application tourniquet, and they have videos on their website to show you how you can apply it with one hand yourself, and it's more of an elastic thing. And there's also a CAT, or a combat application tourniquet, and this is the one with Velcro. You wrap it around, and then there's it's sort of like a pen device that you twist to make it tighter. Okay, two different types of tourniquets. So bleeding control kit obviously stops bleeding. So if you're carrying a gun, in my opinion, you're going to the range, hopefully you should have a first aid kit and a bleeding control kit with you. Now, the range should have one, but You never know, right? So my suggestion is, and it doesn't. This is a little looks a little bulky, but this could be for your bag. You could also get smaller ones for like an everyday carry first aid kit. Just a suggestion, folks. So the last thing I wanted to mention before I get into some questions, holsters. So have a decent holster. I've done videos on this. Let me put a link to, and those of you that have watched my videos probably already have these. So first aid kit, bleeding control kit. These are links. If you're interested, you want to check them out. Bleeding control kit, first aid kit. And I want to holsters, right? So just a quick thing on holsters. So this is a hidden hybrid holster. It's a hybrid because it's KYDEX on one side, leather on the other side. It's a suede. It feels good against your body, like it's comforting. As far as when it's against your skin. Now it's molded to the gun. This is for my Sig Sauer P365X. So obviously that's for the retention part. So I would suggest a decent holster made for your gun that's going to keep it in there, right? So just wanted to bring that up as far as the holsters go. Let me just here we go. I'm just covering okay. So now one of the other things I wanted to mention before I get into the questions is that we are currently developing, and I say we because it's me and some other retired law enforcement and military people that I work with these companies that we're in partnership with. We're developing an online course, and it's going to be 5 modules, and it's going to be called Mastering Situational Awareness and Concealed Carry. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because one of the modules in this course, and it's great for beginners, but it's also great for if you have experience, because one of the modules in this course is use of force. It's an entire module dedicated to use of force, and it has it as it applies to New Jersey people, because one of my partners is a court recognized use of force expert in the state of New Jersey. So he's been sworn in as a use of force expert. He has advanced degrees, and he's a retired law enforcement with 30 years experience, and he's retired military. So he is going to be, on the forefront of this module for this course. So I just wanted to mention it to everybody. It's going to cover a lot of topics for situational awareness and concealed carry, especially pertaining to New Jersey law. And when that's available, I will put a video out on that. So just wanted to give everybody a heads up, kind of keep that, be on the lookout for it. So here we go. Here, let me move on here. So one of the things that I've been getting a lot, the question is, as far as securing your gun. I recently did a video on how to unload and load safely in your car, right? Because you have to do it so many times. If you want to carry in New Jersey, there are so many places that you can't carry. You're unloading and loading. And I know people have said this before, it's kind of a recipe for disaster. Like somebody's going to have a negligent discharge, all these loads and unloads. And probably, right? Probably so. But you don't have to. Like if you practice safe technique and you're always, thinking about what you're doing, you're not going too fast, I think you're going to be fine, because I've been doing it for 30 years and I've never had any issue. So it's just going to be a matter of, watch the video if you haven't already that I did recently, and see if that kind of jives with how you do it. And if you have a different way, certainly I'm open to suggestions. One person put in the comments that he has an actually Kevlar plate that he points the gun towards. It's an old plate, it's probably expired to wear as, for protection, but he uses it for when he loads and unloads his gun in his car. So it's a great idea if you can get a hold of a Kevlar plate. You can buy them. So I thought that was a great idea. So one of the questions that I've gotten is about storing your car versus, so it's really storing the car. So in your car. So I do the video, and somebody asked me, well, what do you do with the magazine? You unload it, you put the gun in the safe, And can you put the magazine in the safe with it? So if this is for you, you're storing your gun, you're out and about, you're in public, and maybe you're going to say a dentist appointment, right, or a doctor's appointment, and you can't carry your gun inside there. You don't want to carry your gun, whatever the case may be. So you safely unload. Now you put your gun in the safe. So people have asked me, can you put the magazine? Well, first of all, can you keep it loaded, the magazine? Yes, absolutely. You do not have to take the rounds out of the magazine in New Jersey, right? As long as it's out of the gun's unloaded and there's no round in the chamber, the gun's unloaded. You do not have to take the rounds out of the magazine. So then the next question is, can I put it in the safe with the gun? In my opinion, yes, you can. Now, I wouldn't recommend it. I don't like to do that, but you can do that, and I'll tell you why. Um, so for me, I always think, well, if somebody steals my safe, right? Now they have the gun and the ammo. They can walk away, and in 5 minutes they can, use the gun, right? In less than 5 minutes. But if they just steal the safe and it just has the gun, now they have to find a magazine that fits it and some bullets, right? So I don't like to keep them together, but you could, in my opinion, keep them together. So you're going to go in there for 5 minutes and you can see your car the whole time, unload it, do what you're supposed to do, and maybe you want to put them together in the same safe. Uh, Perfectly acceptable. I use my glove compartment a lot of times because it locks, right? So I'll put the ammo in my glove box or glove compartment, lock it, and then I put the gun in the safe. So they're separated. But as I mentioned before, you can get a dual safe, or you can just have two safes, and you could lock the ammo in one and the gun in the other. And I know it seems like overkill, but I'm bringing this up because this is for storage for when you can't take your gun with you, right? You have a carry permit to carry, and you go somewhere where now you have to secure it. So the new statute does not say ammo separate for securing it. So it reads, and I will read it to you. It says under exemptions, right? So I'm sorry, under prohibited areas. So this is NJS 2C58.4.6, prohibited areas carrying firearm destructive device. So this is where in the statute that they talk about um all the places that you can't carry and what you can't do with your gun. You can't carry more than two guns on you at one time, all that stuff, right? So in there's a paragraph 7B2. I'll just read it to you. A holder of a valid and lawfully issued permit to carry a handgun shall not leave a handgun outside their immediate possession or control within a parked vehicle unless the handgun is unloaded and contained in a closed and securely fastened case or gun box and is not visible from the outside of the vehicle, or is locked unloaded in the trunk or storage area of the vehicle. So it doesn't say the ammo should be separate. As a safety precaution, it should be, in my opinion, but it doesn't say that in that statute for securing it when it's outside your immediate control, right? But for transporting, that's different, right? So under NJS 2C 39.6 exemptions, any weapon being transported. So say you don't have a carry permit, right? So you don't have a carry permit, or you're carrying multiple guns and you're going to the range to shoot, right? So you're carrying them unloaded. So or you're not from New Jersey and you're traveling through New Jersey, right? This applies to you as well. So any weapon being transported under paragraph 2, blah, 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 subsection, all that stuff shall be carried unloaded and contained in a closed and fastened case, gun box, securely tied package. So it could be a box that you tied up with string, right? Securely tied package, or locked in the trunk of an automobile in which is being transported. And in the course of travel shall include only deviations as reasonably necessary under the circumstances. So for transporting without a carry permit, you can't like make a stop at a friend's house for 2 hours on your way to the range. That's what they're saying here, right? So that's the difference with you're transporting one with or without a carry permit, and you're securing it because it's not under your immediate control. So two different circumstances. So for the transporting, they obviously don't want you to use on the state police website. If you go to their website njsp.org, under, let me see here, frequently asked question number 6, how do I transport firearms? They do have that, what I just read to you. I'm not going to read it again. They do have that same paragraph, and under it, they have, so this is not by statute, but it's as a precaution, ammunition shall be transported in a separate container and locked in the trunk of an automobile in which is being transported. Ammunition magazines may remain loaded during transportation out and shall be carried separate from the firearm. So the state police are telling us that when you're transporting, that's how you do it. You don't put it in, let me see here. Also, above that paragraph, they mention the center console. They say if the vehicle does not have a compartment separate from the passenger compartment. I didn't want to reread it, but it's actually a little bit more on in the statute. So on the state police website, it says if the vehicle, this is for transport now, right? So you're going to the range and maybe you have a pickup truck. If the vehicle does not have a compartment separate from the passenger compartment, the firearm or ammunition shall be locked in a container other than the vehicle's glove compartment or center console and kept farthest from the driver. So if you have a pickup truck, you can't be in the glove box or center console, and it has to be in a container farthest from the driver. So basically, what they're saying is for transport, they don't want your firearm accessible to the driver or the passenger, and they don't want it in the glove compartment or the center console for obvious reasons. Because if it's in those two places, then obviously you can, have access to it pretty quickly. But the way I think is, your credentials are usually in your center console or your glove compartment. So if you store your gun there and then you get stopped by the police and then you go open it up, boom, your gun's there, and it could cause some issues, right? So that's for transport. Again, for securing it, you can't go into a doctor's office, or you're going into your kid's school or whatever it might be, wherever you don't want to take it for whatever reason. And it's going to, we're all talking about temporary storage here anyway. So I use my glove compartment for the ammo when I'm not taking it in with me, right? So if I'm driving and traveling and I'm in the car, I don't put my gun in the glove compartment or the center console. That's another question people have asked me. Can I put it in the center console? I have a carry permit. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. I'm going on a long trip and it's uncomfortable. So can I put it there? So I would say I would strongly recommend you don't do that for a couple of reasons. One, like I just mentioned, if you have it in there and you get stopped by the police and you forget and they say, oh, license, registration, insurance, and you go to get your registration and insurance, you open it up, there it's sitting. That could cause some problems, right? Another reason is by statute, it has to be, if it's not under your immediate control, right? Which typically means against your body. So if it's not under your immediate control, then you have to unload it and secure it properly. So some people can say, well, if you can articulate that it's still under your control in the center console, maybe you can. I'm just saying it's kind of a gray area in New Jersey. I know some states, your vehicle is like an extension of your property, your home. So in some states, it might be legal to have a loaded gun in your glove box because they consider your car an extension of your residence or your home. That's not the case in New Jersey. So if it's out of your immediate control, which again typically means on your person, then you need to unload it. So you know, do with that what you will, but that's my suggestion too. If it's loaded, I would keep it on your person. Some people have asked me, what about the lumbar bags or the waist bags or a purse if you're female? And yes, they're acceptable if it's in a proper holster within that bag, right? So you can't just throw it in a bag. It's got to be in a proper holster. And typically, if it's a bag made for carrying, it'll have a holster inside it, or you can just buy a third party holster to put in a bag, or in a purse or a bag. And again, with that, I would recommend you keep it tightly against your body at all times. And if you take that off for whatever reason, I'd not recommend taking that bag off and putting it on the passenger seat in front of you, because now anybody can grab that bag and it's not under your immediate control. So, um, one thing to keep in mind with the bags and the purses is two things really is accessibility. So how are you able to access it? Can you access it quickly enough? And retention, right? So you don't want to carry it on your shoulder loosely. Of course, somebody runs by in the old, typical purse snatching. So just wanted to mention that about the purses and yes, and that, and like a waist bag. Some people carry them when they're running, you know. So as far as some other questions that I've received, let me see here. Just checking out everybody here. Okay, so one of the things a question asked is, I go to renew, and if anybody has any more information on this, if you've recently renewed, there's no renew button right on the state police website. So you go to renew and it says initial application, and that if it's still the case, that's for two reasons. Number one, they haven't gotten around to updating the platform, right, with a renew button. The second thing is that really the process is the same, right, as your initial application. So, because people have asked me, well, what do I have to do to renew? Do I just have to show qualification? No, you have to do everything you did the first time, and you have to pay all the fees all over again. So, so that's probably one reason why it's still an initial button on there, initial application, because it's the same process anyway. So I don't think they're in a hurry to change it or add that button. And again, if anybody's recently renewed and if there's a renew button, please let us know. But again, it's the same process. So the only difference is, I would think, being in that unit, and when I was there, I was part of the Firearms Application and Registration System. So I met with all the agencies and the people involved with putting that platform together for firearms, for either applying for an ID card or a permit to purchase a handgun. So it's a similar system. And I think eventually, if it's not there yet, they probably will get a renew button. So ideally, in my opinion, that you would be able to pull up your former endorsements or references, right? So you could actually, it would be easier for you to actually um, renew your application. One second here. I don't think they've done that yet. Now, can you use the same references? Yes, of course, but you know, uh, I don't think it's in there. So I think you have to actually type them in there, uh, and basically go through the application. Now, fingerprints. People have asked me about fingerprints. Why do I have to? Why do I have to get fingerprinted again? Now, by statute, you're supposed to be fingerprinted every time you apply. So every 2 years. That's how it was before NYSERPA versus Bruin. So all the people that were getting their carry permits for work, they had to get fingerprinted every 2 years. So there is a clause in the statute that says that basically, if the chief can identify you or use other means to identify you, they can run what's called your 212A, which is basically run your prints on file to do your criminal history. Um, but they can, it says, shall cause the fingerprints to be taken each application. So um, you, expect to get your fingerprints taken and pay for your fingerprints every 2 years when you apply. If your PD is, your chief knows you, or says, well, we'll just run the prints on file, then kudos to your PD. But by statute, it's every 2 years. So some people have asked, because when you apply for an ID card or a permit to purchase, right, you don't have to get fingerprinted every time. They run your what's called your 212A. That's that form where they're running your prints on file against a criminal history to see if you were arrested, say, yesterday. Of course, that's exactly what they do when you go to buy the gun at the store with the NICS check. So there's multiple, checks and balances in New Jersey. It's overkill, actually, but that's what happens in New Jersey, as we all know. So let me just see here. No renew button, but no new fingerprints needed, and you need to show qualification in the past 2 years. New photo and $200. So, all right. So that's what somebody just wrote, that there's no renew button, but no new fingerprints. Now, hopefully that's a thing. That's a theme that the PDs have um, done across the board, where they're not requiring you to get fingerprinted every 2 years, because that is an expense. And of course, it's new photo and $200. So they do want you to submit a new photo. And that's on the state police website, of course. So as far as the state police website, sometimes it's not always up to date. So I would, of course, you're going to have to do what your PD says, because if you're in a state police area and the state police do your background, then of course that will apply to you. But if you have a local PD, you might have some different stuff. So that's what I wanted to mention as well, to go through your PD for stuff. Let me just look here and make sure that I'm covering everything. Okay, so here's the thing, folks. They absolutely can run your prints on file, right? They absolutely can do it. There's no reason for you to get fingerprinted every 2 years, but some PDs are making the guys do it. And again, by statute, unless they change the statute, they can do it. So if your PD says you have to get printed with a renewal application, I would not fight with them. I would just do it, because what choice do you have, really? But they absolutely, positively can just run your prints on file. But will they do it? That's another question. So let me see here. Okay, as far as the SP 182A, now some people have asked me. Here's another question that I wanted to cover. Qualifying with every gun, and how do you qualify? Because this has been something that's been back and forth. In the past, before NYSERPA versus Bruin, you had to qualify with each gun that you wanted to carry, right? You submitted that paperwork. Now with this new statute, with this new, like I said, the anti-carry law, the new statute, which was signed December 2022, right? They don't really specify, but a lot of the PDs are getting this SP 182. Let me pull this up, and I'll share the screen so you can see. Everybody knows what this. Let me see here. Share screen. Let me just do this here. Okay. So this is the SP 182, and you see it's got a list of make and model. There's no spot here for an instructor to sign this. And right, this is just you sign it. And this is, to me, this is more of a registry, right? It's more of a registry. Here are all the guns that I own and intend on carrying. Now, some people have said, well, a lot of this has been going around. This 2C5841 permit shall be sufficient for all handguns owned by holder thereof. Some people say, well, that says it right there. That means that you just need one permit. You can carry whatever you want. I don't think that that's true, right? Because this, to me, means you only need one carry permit. If you have 5 handguns, you don't need 5 carry permits. You only need one, right? So that's what this meant before, right? But everybody's throwing this around. It's on these forms. Now, your PD may tell you just list on this sheet and submit it with your application. But if you also pull up the safe handling, this is also what you have to. This is form 182. The other one's 182A. This is what your instructor signs, right? And certifies that you've had safe handling and you qualified on the course, right? The CQ course, or the private citizen concealed carry course, right? They have the date. There's nothing on here for your gun, right? Serial number and gun. So if you go back to the 182A, again, this is a registry, but nothing on here for an instructor to sign for. Nothing. What I'm trying to say is there's nothing on this form that says your instructor is certifying that you qualify with each of these guns listed. So the question remains, right, is do you need to qualify with each gun, and where would you even put that, right? Some instructors have their own forms, right, that they fill out, and they tell their students, write your gun stuff on this form at the bottom, right? If anybody has heard or done anything differently, you can put it in the chat or let me know. But so my thing is that, as far as, do you have to qualify with each gun on here? Some police departments are saying submit the paperwork that you qualified. Some police departments are saying just list it on here. This is your registry of what you intend to carry. So I'm hoping that the state police or the attorney general's office clarifies this. I would recommend that you qualify with each gun you're going to carry. Now, most people, I think, don't carry more than a couple of different guns. I don't. I really have two guns that I carry. I've qualified when I qualify. Excuse me. I qualify with each one that I intend to carry. And I know some people say, well, the instructors charge for that, and they charge, a lot of money. And if you have 5 guns, you could pay, $300. Not all instructors do that. I know instructors that will not charge you for qualifying if you have a couple of extra guns. Now, if you have 10 guns and you're going to be there for an extra hour, you might get charged a little bit more because that's more range time, and it's, they have to block out that time for the range. But if you have a couple of guns, 2 or 3 guns, my suggestion is have your instructor qualify you, whether you submit it to your PD or not. Your PD, they may not want it. They may say, keep it. Like, we don't want that. We just want the SP 182. I'm saying that I would suggest you do it because it's not a big deal, right? It makes sense that if you qualify with a Glock 43, you shouldn't have to qualify with the Glock 19 or even a 1911, right? They're both handguns. They're semi-automatic. But the thing is, if you ever got involved in an incident, I hope you never do, all this is going to come out in court. They're going to say, did you qualify? And then, you're going to say, well, no, I just listed it on that sheet. I qualified with my one gun, but this is, a gun that I didn't qualify with. It may or may not make a difference, right? I don't know. It might. I'm just saying that if it's easy enough to do at the range when you're qualifying, then I would recommend you do it. Again, your PD may not want to see that. They may say, just send us one qualification of one gun and then submit the 182. And some people ask, well, what if I already submitted my application and I want to add a gun? I bought a gun 2 months later. Talk to your PD and find out what they want to do. They might just want you to update the SP 182 and keep it for your own records, or email it to them to keep on file. So let me pull this up here. I just want to make sure I cover everything that folks have been asking me. So here we go. Okay. So, all righty. Okay. Got that. All right. So again, hopefully we're going to get a more definitive answer on, do we have to qualify with every gun? But you basically have to do what your PD wants, right? So there's 21 counties in New Jersey. I think what may have happened is, and we don't really know this, right? Because we're not privy to this information. What could have happened is the attorney general could have basically put it out to the police departments in all 21 counties, the 21 county prosecutors, and left it up to them and said, you decide what your procedure is. Are they going to submit, the 182? Are they going to qualify with each gun? That could have happened, right? They could have said to well, in Camden County, this is what the prosecutor might say, this is what I want all the police departments to do with the applicants. So that could have happened, but that's why I always point you back to your police department and see what they want you to do. Now, one thing here, let me just see here. One quick question too that I get a lot, I wanted to just cover, and we're almost at a point in about 6 months we won't even have this issue. But if your carry permit was issued by a judge, and they were all issued by judges before December 2022, when this new anti-carry law came out, because this new anti-carry law took that away from the judges, Superior Court judges, and gave it to your police departments. So now it goes to your police department. So people have asked me, what if I want to add a gun to my carry permit? It was issued by the court. Well, technically, right, it depends, right? Because some judges in New Jersey, we're saying to people, you can carry anything you want. You qualify with one gun. It says here you qualify with a semi-automatic. So any semi-automatic that you have or own legally, you can carry. And other judges were saying the gun that you're qualified with is listed on your carry permit. So if you want to carry a different gun or an additional gun, you have to submit a petition to the court to amend the court order, because the carry permits were court orders, right? They were issued by superior court judges. So my answer is, it depends. If your judge told you carry anything you want, legally, you can legally own, you can carry anything you legally own, then you're covered, right? I would still recommend you qualify in case something happens. But if your judge listed it on your card, your carry permit, then you can do two things, right? Well, technically you could submit it to the court, but the court's going to kick it back and say apply through your police department. So the court's not going to do anything with it, I don't think. You can reapply through your police department. So if your permit doesn't expire for 6 months, yeah, you can reapply for a new permit with your police department, but they'll probably have you turn it in, right? Because that carry permit was issued by the court, and now you're going to get a new permit issued by your police department. So they'll probably have you turn it in, and if it might take them 3 months to issue it, I don't know. It depends on your police department. So that's your other option. The other thing you can do is just wait until you have to renew, and then it's going to go through your police department anyway. So just wanted to touch on that. So let me see. We're getting to the end here, folks. Let me see what we have here. Okay, I put some links to some products, and I'll put a link to the website. This is the recommended product list on our website. So we update it, change it periodically. So because people have asked me, what about this? What about that? Do you recommend this? So there's a list. It's a PDF file, web PDF file that you can access. It's a page on our website, and you can just, if you want more information or you want to take a look, I just wanted to give you that. And let's see. Okay. So that pretty much wraps up most of the questions that I've been getting lately. And I wanted to just, cover that with this live stream. And again, we're going to be doing more. And if you want to either send me an email or put in the comments, again, this is going to be archived and it's going to be put on the channel for anyone that didn't see it. And if you, want to put some comments in as far as topics or questions for the next live stream, that would be great. Let me see. So somebody's asking, any guess on how long before your permit expires would you start the renewal process? So I believe the state police website says 4 months, right? Let me pull it up real quick. I believe it's up to 4 months in advance that you can apply. So let's see. Yep, up to 4 months, right? So yes. So they are saying you can do it 4 months. Now, what I've been told is, and this makes sense, that if you're 4 months out and you apply and your police department is quick, my police department's fast. When I do a permit to purchase, they're very fast, right? So it just depends on the resources of your police department. And I know people, if you go on some of the Facebook groups, there are a lot of people that are angry about their PDs, and some PDs, it really shouldn't take 6 months now at this point to do anything. But initially, I know some people would, it was literally months, 6 months. That's ridiculous. But initially, after brewing, they got a surge of applicants. So some PDs could not handle it, and some PDs have expanded their firearms units, and they've gotten more people to do them. So if you notice a lag initially, hopefully when you go to renew, it'll be quicker. And of course, the process is online now. Initially, when we started, it was not online. A lot of these checks are done automatically by the system. Same with FARs. right? So you put all your information in, it does a lot of checks. And some people, and I've seen these on the Facebook groups, they say, well, if it's all automated, why does it take, 3 months or whatever? It's not all automated. A person still has to physically, the chief actually, or the chief's designee has to actually approve it. So everything can come back and fly in colors, and a person still has to actually approve it. And I'm not saying that that should be a 3-month delay for the chief to approve it, but what delays things is sometimes something might come back on one of the checks that warrants further investigation. So something might come back that it's unclear, or they might get partial information, right? This is especially true in like the AOC, the Administrative Office of the Courts. So on the, for example, the mental health check, somebody might have the same name and date of birth as you who might be in that system, and it'll come back a hit. And now the police officer investigator doing your background has to actually call up or email or check to confirm that, hey, this isn't my applicant, or is it my applicant. So and then now they're relying on faxes for that follow-up stuff. And not that a fax takes a long time, but my point is, everything doesn't just happen with an automated check. A lot of stuff does, like with DMV and criminal history. But again, if you have something in your background that maybe happened when you were like 20 and now you're 50, and that might require the investigator to call up, and then that court has to go back in their archives to find it, right? It might not be in the online system. If it happened 30 years ago, they might have to physically look it up. So I'm just saying some of the reasons why there are delays, because everything's not automated, and sometimes they actually do have to verify a check, with a phone call, or they have to wait for someone to do a check at the court, and it might take 4 or 5 days a week, and then your file is put on hold until that check comes back. So to answer your question, Thomas, that is a good question. As far as when you should, it kind of depends on your PD, because here's the thing: you can do it 4 months out, but keep in mind that if you do and your PD's quick, and in 2 weeks or 3 weeks your carry permit is approved, that will be your new expiration date, right? Through that, when it's approved. So it won't go, they won't renew it, and you won't get extra months out of it, is what I'm trying to say. And that's what, when they renew it, they renew it. The old carry permit's no good, and the new one is effective, and it's good for 2 years from that starting point. So if you don't care about that, losing a couple of months, and I guess it depends on money, you try to, I want to get my money's worth and go the full 24 months. Unfortunately, if you don't want to lapse, right, you got to kind of have to do it in advance. And I guess just hope that the new expiration date is close to your old one, and then you're getting your money's worth, I guess, out of all the fees that you're paying. So it kind of depends on your PD. If you wait until you have like 2 weeks left, then it might expire. And then if it expires and you don't have the new one, then obviously you can't carry. So I hope that helps. Let's see. I'm just looking through here, and I know, folks, that this is members only with the chat feature. And again, we're gonna have more live streams that are opened up, that everybody can ask a question if you want. But one of the member perks is that you have access to certain live streams. You have priority, and you have that chat feature where you can ask questions. So if you're considering being a member, that might be a good reason, especially since we're going to be doing these on a more regular basis. And again, we will have it opened up for other people with other live streams, but this one, and part of the reason is so I wasn't overwhelmed, because if 100 people came on here and asked me questions, we might be here all night. But in the future, we will open it up. So, all right, folks, I'm looking through here. I think I covered everything that I had in my outline that people have been asking me on the channel. And again, this will be posted. And so if you want to leave comments on the archived video, if you haven't had a chance to see it, or if you just want to go on and make a comment, and if you have a question, I'll try to get back to you within a day or two. And also for the next live stream, if you have any things you want me to go over or cover, but I want to try to do this on a regular basis. So the idea here is to get stuff out quickly, because I know when something comes out in court, I try to do the video quickly, and I try to, um, I try to I have to edit the video, and I'm doing all this myself to edit the video and then post the video. And it might take a couple of days to do that. So with these live streams, we can get information out quicker. And if we're doing them on a regular basis, hopefully we can keep everybody informed. And again, these are taken from most of the questions that I'm getting in the comments or email. So if you want to email me, now my email is, of course, in the on my channel, and some of you already know it. I'll give you one of the email addresses. I'll put it in here. You can certainly send me an email if you have a question, or you want to say, hey, can you talk about this? Okay, smazz at mtgsafety.com. So that is an email that I should get if you want to send a question or a comment. You can certainly make a comment on this video once it's archived. YouTube will take a few minutes to process it, of course, but feel free to make a comment on that. So to wrap up here, if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel for updates on New Jersey carry topics. I try to make it, more broad than New Jersey, but because I'm a retired New Jersey trooper and I'm well familiar with New Jersey's process, there is a focus on New Jersey here. So if you know anyone from New Jersey who has a carry permit or is considering getting one, please forward the channel link to them, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Also consider being a channel member. Again, we're going to do these live streams more often, so some perks will come with that if you and it will support the channel and allow us to make more content more frequently. So again, folks, thanks for tuning in tonight. I appreciate everybody that's on here. And again, look out for the archive video if you want to rewatch or make some comments. As always, thanks for watching. Take care and stay safe until next time.